I don't know if I'm even going to upload this video, but I wanted to shoot it as soon as possible in the moment. Basically, I've just had to cancel a work shift, which I've had to do a bit lately, even after taking 4 weeks off earlier this year, due to anxiety, depression, OCD, whatever. It's not a good feeling. To know that you're letting a company down that you love working for. I love working as a climbing guide, as an outdoor guide. I love working for the company that I work for, Pinnacle. And when things like this happen and I have to cancel them last minute, especially last minute, as it's been the last little while when I have had to, it's just such a horrible feeling, because you feel like you're letting people down who you really admire and really have so much gratitude towards for giving you work. I was so stoked when I finally got my climbing guide qualifications. It took me ages to get that done. Again, anxiety, depression, years to do something that for some people would just take a few weeks and be a breeze. I was in and out of training, in and out of courses, and it took me a long time to finally get things through the trainer who I went through, Mason at Climbing Guides Australia. And this stuff isn't about, oh, poor Zach, look what he's going through. Obvious sentiments of hope you're doing well, hope you get better, hope you're doing better, hope you get through, all of that stuff. It's appreciated, but it's not what this is about. It's not what any of these videos are about. As I've said before, this year especially, I've stepped back from a whole bunch of things that I was doing, basically just to focus on just trying to work and trying to climb and hike as much as possible. And that has been a challenge in itself, even recreationally climbing. Getting out and doing things, and trying to stick to a bit of a training schedule, and keeping up with work and keeping consistent with work, because whenever I drop a shift, it's not like someone can just come pick it up. It's we have to can it, we have to postpone it, and it's just a horrible feeling when you feel like you're doing that to the company that you work for and have so much gratitude towards for the work. And normally when I get like this, there is an outward catalyst that causes it. There's an outward thing that brings on the anxiety, and then to the point where, like today, it just physically breaks you down. It starts to boil over from the mental into the physical, and it just breaks you completely. Can't leave the house, can't do shit. It's really rough, and it's hard to explain. It's hard to really put into words just how crappy it feels physically, and then how crappy it makes you feel when you know that you're letting people down who you care about. Anyway, as I was saying, outward catalysts, it'll cause the mental, and then eventually that boils over and turns into physical symptoms and isolation. And I've got quite a few close friends that deal with similar situations, and some of them are able to work full time, but by the time it gets to the weekend, they're just completely shut down. They're not doing anything for those 2 days. They just need to sleep and rest and recuperate so they can do the next week. And that's what it's like. It's like by the time you've got to the end of something, the end of work week, a bit of recreational training, things like that, got to the end of that, have a couple rest days, you're just so depleted of just everything, and all you want to do is just sleep. In the past, the outward catalysts for me have sometimes been work, especially if it's something I'm doing that I'm not enjoying. That really wears me down very quickly. Training, trying to get qualifications at times, especially bigger ones, actual degrees or high certificates, things like that can wear me down very quickly over time. Doing things that's a yearly commitment or even more than that. Yeah, and it just gets to the point where your brain's just taken as much as it can take, and then it starts to offload that onto your body. You know, today before calling off the shift, I took a bit of medication, which I don't like to do. Or a bit more medication than normal, which I don't like to do, just to see if it would settle things down enough for me to actually get to work. But it just didn't work today. I'm sorry for long silences and things. I'm just a bit spaced, but I wanted this to be raw. I wanted this to be really in the moment and not something that I've pre-planned and looking at notes, and it just feels more authentic this way to show what it's like to deal with this stuff and to deal with all of the emotions behind it and all the things that you put on yourself. Cancelling a work shift immediately, brain goes into you're a failure, you're not good enough, you're going to get fired. You're not going to progress, you're not going to get anywhere. Things like that, which then just add to the anxiety and the depression, and then it's just an ongoing cycle. And I know a lot of people understand this, at least on some level, but still, I think trying to film this in the moment might give it a bit of rawness and a bit more emotion and just the feeling behind what it's actually like. So the catalyst for this, look, it should be something I'm really excited about. I got accepted into a training program, an intensive outdoor leader training program, Cert 4 outdoor leadership, with an attached certificate in alpine guiding and wilderness medicine. Held down south, one of my favourite places in the world, held down south in Kosciuszko National Park, and that's happening in July. And I just found out 2 days ago that I'd been accepted and that I need to get started on the online modules and the homework before we do the practical, which is a 28-day practical over the month of July. Down in the mountains with 3 expeditions and some days in between of training days or rest days or other bits and pieces. The first aid training, wilderness medicine, wilderness first aid training, and that should be something that I'm really excited about. And to be honest, I am equal parts excited, stoked that I got in. Technically you will need to already have a Cert 3 or a Cert 4 to get in, but I managed to wrangle my way in just with my past experience with work and just my personal log in climbing, hiking and alpine things as well, which Alpine not so extensive, the other stuff more so. But yeah, I managed to get in. And yeah, it should be something that I should be over the moon about, and that I should be so stoked about, and that I should be telling everyone about. And up until now, I think I've told about, well, outside of my family, 2 people. And part of that is because, although I'm excited and I'm now telling the world on YouTube, is that there is that part of you where the anxiety kicks in, and it's like, well, what if you can't do this? What if you don't get through the training? What if you don't get the qualification? I've already tried to get my Cert 4 2 times and had to pull out for different reasons. And in some ways, doing this as an intensive could be easier on me. It's less time. It might be more intensive, but it's less time. I'm not committing to a year, 2 years of ongoing. You know that it's just, you got to get this done, you got to get through that month, get it done, and then boom, it's over. You're not committing to 3 days a week for a year ongoing. But yeah, as you can probably see in my face, there's not much excitement showing through. There is excitement in me, but it's definitely not the go-to emotion at the moment, especially just coming out of what I've come out of, cancelling the work shift, and yeah, just trying to wrap my head around the fact that I got into this thing and that I now need to fund it all and find accommodation and rent gear and get myself sorted and get myself back super physically fit so I can do all the expeditions without dying. Well, not dying, but without being out of breath and actually being able to enjoy them, because that's great when you're fit enough to actually really be able to enjoy hiking and expeditions. Yeah. So it's interesting. It's interesting how anxiety can play off excitement. I've heard people say that they're the same emotions, just shown in different ways. And I try to reframe my anxiety as excitement sometimes if I am feeling anxious about something, and sometimes it works. In this case, it definitely hasn't. And you know, at this point, I hope I can keep guiding. I hope that I don't keep letting people down. I'm quite committed to getting better, to getting through this, to getting these things done. But right now I'm just having a really rough time. And in this exact moment I'm having a really, really rough time. Yeah, as I said, being accepted, I've said it like 3 times. I have to edit that out. Something that I should be so happy and excited about to be doing. This amazing qualification in the middle of the snow in one of my favourite parts of the world. But I'm scared, I'm anxious, and honestly just feel like curling up in a ball and crying until I sleep. And I'm not good at showing emotions face to face, obviously, even on a video. I just go to the, it's all okay, it's all good, don't worry about me, I'm fine. There's very few moments where people have ever seen me in full breakdown, and I think that I can probably count those people 2 people who's ever seen me really in that state. No, 3 people, sorry, 3 people that have seen me in that state. Anyway, I wanted to make this video as raw as possible. I hope that you give it a watch. I hope that you maybe learn something a little bit about anxiety and things from it. Or just get something from it. I mean, there's not much to learn from this video. I hope you get something from it. If you're going through something similar, don't be afraid to reach out. I'm always happy to talk about mental health stuff. Thank you for watching. Hopefully the next video I put will be a bit more happy and a bit more positive and a bit more exciting. Thanks, and I'll talk to you later.